Good morning, everyone. Today I want to talk to you about something so simple, yet so powerful that it has the potential to completely change your life. Your daily routine. We often look for change in big, dramatic ways. A new job, a new relationship, a new opportunity. But the truth is, lasting transformation doesn't begin with what happens occasionally. It begins with what happens consistently. It begins with the habits you live out every single day. Those quiet choices that no one sees, the ones that build your future brick by brick. The idea that your routine shapes your reality is both profound and practical. Many people look at their lives and wonder why things aren't changing, why they still feel stuck, overwhelmed, or unfulfilled. They may blame their circumstances, other people, or even bad luck. But the truth is, more often than not, the results we're experiencing in life are a direct reflection of the habits we've built and the routines we follow, whether we're aware of them or not. Each day is filled with countless small choices. We decide what time to wake up, what to focus on, what thoughts to entertain, and how to respond to challenges. These choices may seem insignificant on their own, but over time they become patterns, and those patterns determine the direction of our lives. A person who chooses to wake up early, read something uplifting, and start the day with a sense of purpose is laying the groundwork for a productive and positive life. In contrast, someone who begins the day with anxiety, distraction, or negativity is setting a very different tone, one that often leads to stress and discouragement. Your routine is like the foundation of a house. If the foundation is strong, the house can withstand storms. But if it's weak or unstable, even a light wind can cause damage. In the same way, when your routine is built on discipline, intentionality, and healthy habits, you become more resilient. You're better equipped to handle setbacks, pressure, and uncertainty. But when your daily habits are rooted in chaos, avoidance, or passivity, even small problems can feel overwhelming. It's important to recognize that transformation doesn't happen in the dramatic once-in-a-lifetime moments. It happens quietly, day by day, in the way you choose to live. The person who commits to exercising for 20 minutes a day, praying before work, or reading for self-growth doesn't see instant results. But over time, their mind becomes sharper, their body stronger, and their spirit more peaceful. And all of that began with a simple decision to build a new routine. The good news is, you're not stuck with your current reality. You have the power to shape it by shaping your habits. You can take control of your day instead of letting the day control you. That might mean setting your alarm 15 minutes earlier so you can start your morning with intention instead of stress. It might mean turning off the TV or putting down your phone at night so you can focus on something more meaningful. It might mean writing down goals, speaking affirmations, or making a list of 3 things you're grateful for. These might seem like small steps, but they're powerful because they set the rhythm of your life. When you live by design instead of default, you begin to experience change. Your mind becomes clearer, your decisions become more purposeful. You stop reacting to life and start responding with clarity and confidence. You begin to attract better opportunities, because you're operating from a place of focus and faith, not frustration or fatigue. Many people hope that one big moment will change everything, a promotion, a breakthrough, a miracle, and while those moments are real and powerful, they're often the result of quiet, unseen preparation. The job offer comes after years of showing up on time. The breakthrough in health follows months of commitment. The miracle in relationships begins with daily patience and love. When you honor the small things, big things begin to happen. The truth is, God works through consistency. He honors diligence and faithfulness. He meets you in the ordinary moments of your routine and uses them to shape your character and prepare you for what's next. If you want to see a different reality in your life, start with what you're doing today. Look closely at your habits. Ask yourself what they're producing. And if they're not producing the life you want, don't be afraid to change them. Because every time you adjust your routine with purpose, you're rewriting your future. You're not just going through the motions, you're laying a foundation for transformation. Your routine is your tool, your responsibility, and your opportunity. It is shaping your reality more than you realize. The belief that small habits lead to big transformations is one of the most empowering truths we can embrace. In a world that often celebrates overnight success and dramatic changes, it's easy to overlook the quiet, consistent actions that truly drive lasting growth. People tend to believe that in order to see real change, they need to make sweeping resolutions, take massive leaps, or completely reinvent themselves. But that mindset can be overwhelming and often leads to burnout or discouragement. The reality is much simpler and far more sustainable. It's the little things you do every day that ultimately shape who you become and what you achieve. Transformation is not a moment. It's a process. And that process begins with small, intentional steps repeated consistently over time. Think of a drop of water hitting a stone. One drop doesn't seem like much, but over weeks, months, and years, that same steady drop can wear away solid rock. That's the power of consistency. That's what happens when you commit to small positive habits. They slowly but surely reshape your thinking, your behavior, and eventually your entire life. People often set goals that are too large to maintain in the beginning. They say, I'm going to go to the gym for 2 hours every day, or I'm going to pray for an hour each morning, or I'll never eat junk food again. While the intentions behind these goals are admirable, they're not always realistic. And when someone fails to meet those high expectations, it can lead to frustration and giving up altogether. But if instead you commit to 10 minutes of exercise, 5 minutes of prayer, or one healthier meal each day, those smaller habits are much more manageable. Over time, they begin to build confidence, momentum, and most importantly, results. What makes small habits so effective is that they bypass resistance. Big changes can be intimidating, but small habits feel doable. You don't have to overhaul your entire schedule to spend 5 minutes in the morning reading something uplifting or writing down 3 things you're grateful for. But that brief moment can shift your mindset, improve your mood, and set a better tone for the rest of the day. Over time, those few minutes accumulate into hours of positive thinking, increased clarity, and greater peace of mind. There's also a psychological benefit to keeping your habits small. Every time you follow through with a small commitment, you're sending a message to yourself. I follow through on what I say. I'll do. I am reliable. I am disciplined. That builds a strong identity over time. Instead of thinking of yourself as someone who struggles to change, you start to see yourself as someone who is consistent, focused, and capable. That shift in identity is where true transformation begins. Another reason small habits are powerful is because they act as seeds. A seed planted in the ground doesn't look like much at first. It's easy to forget about it or assume it's not working. But given time, care, and the right conditions, it begins to grow roots. Eventually, it breaks through the surface, and with continued nurturing, it becomes something strong and beautiful. The same is true with the habits you plant in your life. You might not see change immediately, but underneath the surface, something is happening. Your discipline is deepening. Your focus is sharpening. Your faith is growing stronger. This principle applies to every area of life. If you want better health, start with 1 walk a day or 1 healthy choice. If you want stronger relationships, send 1 kind message, make 1 encouraging phone call, or take 5 minutes to listen more attentively. If you want to grow spiritually, start with reading a verse, saying a prayer, or meditating quietly for a few minutes. It doesn't have to be big to be meaningful. What matters is that you start and that you stay consistent. Over time, those small steps become a lifestyle. They no longer require intense effort because they become automatic. You don't have to think about brushing your teeth, you just do it. That's the power of habit. And when your habits are aligned with your goals and values, transformation becomes inevitable. Not because you made 1 big change, but because you made 1 small decision over and over again. When you stop underestimating the value of small habits, you unlock the path to big change. You begin to trust the process and believe that something good is happening, even when you can't see it right away. You don't need to wait for perfect conditions or dramatic moments to begin. You simply start with what you can do today, and let that become the foundation of the life you're building. The way you start your day has a profound impact on how the rest of your day unfolds. Many people rush into the morning without any intention, allowing chaos, distractions, and stress to take control before they've even had a moment to think clearly. When you wake up and immediately check your phone, dive into emails, or scroll through social media, you're letting outside forces dictate your mindset. Your thoughts are already reacting instead of responding, and your sense of peace is quickly replaced by urgency or comparison. But when you start your day with intention, you take control of the atmosphere within you before stepping into the world around you. Starting your day with intention doesn't have to be complicated or time-consuming. It simply means giving yourself space to align your mind, body, and spirit before facing your responsibilities. It means beginning the day with a sense of purpose, not pressure. Instead of waking up and thinking, what do I have to do today? You start by asking, who do I want to be today? That simple shift in perspective changes everything. It allows you to move through the day, not just with activity, but with meaning. Many successful and peaceful people have one thing in common. They have a morning routine that grounds them. Whether it's 5 minutes of prayer, 10 minutes of journaling, a quiet walk, or simply drinking coffee in silence, they've created space to center themselves. This intentional pause at the start of the day becomes an anchor. It reminds you of your priorities. It quiets the noise before it begins. It fills you with strength and clarity that carries into every conversation and decision. When you give God the first part of your day, you're acknowledging that you don't want to do life on your own strength. You're inviting divine wisdom and peace to guide your actions. Just a few moments spent in prayer, reflection, or reading scripture can recalibrate your heart. It reminds you that your worth isn't defined by productivity or performance, but by your identity and your connection to something greater. In those moments, you lay down fear and pick up faith. You trade hurry for hope. You begin your day with peace instead of panic. Intentional mornings also prepare you emotionally. When you begin the day grounded, you're better equipped to handle stress, interruptions, and unexpected challenges. Rather than reacting with frustration or anxiety, you respond with patience and clarity. This doesn't mean the day will be perfect, but it means you're positioned to face it with confidence. You filled your cup before others ask you to pour into them. One of the most powerful tools in starting your day with intention is gratitude. Taking even a minute to recognize what you're thankful for shifts your focus. Instead of starting the day thinking about what's wrong or what's missing, you begin by noticing what's gratitude opens your eyes to blessings you might otherwise overlook. It softens your spirit and creates a positive lens through which you view the rest of your day. Another helpful practice is setting a daily intention or affirmation. This is a simple statement that reflects who you want to be and how you want to show up in the world. It could be something like, today I choose peace, or I am strong and capable, or God is ordering my steps. When you repeat that truth to yourself in the morning, it becomes a guidepost throughout your day. It gives your mind something to return to when distractions or challenges arise. It's important to understand that starting your day with intention is not about perfection. You won't always get it right. Some mornings will be rushed, and some days will start messy. But the goal is not to be flawless. It's to be faithful. Faithful to show up, to try again, and to value the beginning of each new day as a gift. Over time, this practice becomes more natural. It becomes something you look forward to. And most importantly, it becomes a sacred space where transformation begins. How you start is often how you continue. When you begin the day with purpose, presence, and perspective, it changes the way you live. You start to move through your schedule with calm instead of chaos, with focus instead of distraction. You stop living on autopilot and begin to live by design. Starting your day with intention is one of the most powerful choices you can make, not just for your productivity, but for your peace, your relationships, and your spiritual growth. It's not about doing more, it's about doing what matters and doing it. The routines we follow every day are not just habits or schedules, they are reflections of what truly matters to us. Whether we realize it or not, our daily actions are constantly revealing our values, our focus, and our direction. It's easy to say that something is a priority in our lives, but if our daily routines don't support that claim, the truth becomes clear. What you consistently make time for is what you've truly prioritized. Words might express intentions, but routines expose reality.
If someone claims their family is the most important thing in their life, but their daily routine includes no meaningful time spent with them, then the routine is telling a different story. If someone says their health matters, but their routine includes late nights, poor eating, and no physical activity, then again their actions are speaking louder than their words. It's not about judging ourselves harshly, it's about gaining awareness. Routines serve as a mirror. They reflect not only what we're doing, but also what we believe, what we fear, and what we've chosen, whether intentionally or by default. Many people live life on autopilot, following routines they didn't consciously design. They wake up, go to work, come home, scroll through their phones, and go to bed, only to repeat the same cycle the next day. Over time, this unintentional way of living can lead to a sense of disconnection or frustration. It may feel like something is missing, or like life is happening to them rather than through them. That's often because their routines are not aligned with their deeper desires or values. The good news is that routines are flexible. They can be changed, reshaped, and realigned to reflect what you truly care about. When you take the time to examine your daily routine with honesty, you begin to uncover whether your current habits are bringing you closer to the life you want or keeping you stuck in a cycle you never intended to be in. This self-awareness is a powerful first step. It gives you the opportunity to be intentional about how you use your time and where you place your energy. When your routine aligns with your priorities, it brings a sense of peace and clarity. You begin to feel more connected to your purpose. You no longer feel scattered or overwhelmed because your day has structure that supports what you value most. For example, if spiritual growth is important to you, you might set aside time each morning to pray, read scripture, or sit in silence. If building stronger relationships is your focus, you might make space in your day to call a loved one, have dinner together, or write a note of encouragement. These aren't just nice things to do, they're acts of alignment that reinforce what truly matters in your heart. Another benefit of routines that reflect your priorities is that they help you say no to the wrong things. When your schedule is filled with what matters, it becomes easier to protect your time from what doesn't. You stop wasting energy on distractions or meaningless tasks because you know what you're aiming for. A clear routine becomes a boundary that protects your goals and guards your peace. You're no longer pulled in every direction because you've decided where your focus belongs. Routines also provide a sense of stability in uncertain times. Life can be unpredictable, and challenges will always arise. But when you have a solid routine rooted in your values, you have something to fall back on. Even when everything else feels out of control, your routine can give you grounding and direction. It becomes a place of consistency, reminding you of who you are and what's most important, no matter what the external circumstances may be. There's also a spiritual element to aligning your routine with your priorities. When you live each day with intention, you honor the time and opportunities God has given you. You're not just going through the motions, you're stewarding your time wisely. Each action becomes an act of faith, a reflection of your trust in God's plan for your life. And as you honor what He's placed in your heart, He honors your obedience with growth, favor, and deeper fulfillment. The routine you follow today is shaping who you become tomorrow. Every decision, every pattern, every repeated behavior is contributing to the story of your life. That's why it's worth asking, does my routine reflect what I truly care about? Am I living each day in alignment with my values, or have I let convenience and busyness dictate my direction? By realigning your routine to match your priorities, you not only create a more meaningful life, you also step into a rhythm that leads to long-term transformation. Many people wait until they feel inspired or motivated before taking action. They tell themselves, I'll start tomorrow when I feel more ready, or I just need to be in the right mood. But feelings are inconsistent, and motivation is fleeting. What truly carries us forward in life is not the intensity of our feelings, but the consistency of our discipline. Discipline is the bridge between intention and achievement. It's what moves us from dreaming about a better life to actually building one. Discipline doesn't always feel good in the moment. It often asks us to do what we don't feel like doing, getting up early, saying no to distractions, sticking to a plan when it's easier to quit. But those uncomfortable moments are exactly where growth happens. Each time you choose discipline over comfort, you're training yourself to be stronger, more focused, and more resilient. You're building the internal muscles that help you stay on course even when external conditions aren't ideal. When you look at successful people in any field, whether in faith, fitness, business, or relationships, you'll find a common thread. They don't rely on how they feel to determine what they do. They've created habits and routines that they follow, whether they feel like it or not. That doesn't mean they're superhuman. It means they've made a decision to prioritize long-term results over short-term feelings. They understand that consistency beats intensity over time. One great workout won't change your body, but consistent effort over weeks and months. One powerful prayer might stir your heart, but a daily habit of spiritual connection changes your entire life. Discipline builds character because it requires commitment. It teaches you to honor your word, especially when no one is watching. It's easy to show up when it's exciting, but showing up when it's boring or difficult, that's where transformation begins. That's when discipline starts to shape your destiny. Every time you choose to follow through on what you've committed to, even when it's hard, you're sending a message to yourself. I can be trusted. I am capable. I am in control of my life. There's also freedom that comes with discipline. It might seem counterintuitive, but the more disciplined you become, the more free you are. You're not controlled by laziness, emotion, or circumstance. You're not constantly scrambling to catch up or apologizing for missed opportunities. Discipline brings order to your life. It creates margin, structure, and peace. Instead of reacting to life, you start to lead your life. You make decisions with clarity. You move with purpose. You live with intention. Another benefit of discipline is that it creates momentum. The hardest part is often starting, but once you take that first step and do it again and again, something begins to shift. You build momentum, and with that momentum comes motivation. Suddenly, what felt hard at first becomes part of your rhythm. The early mornings, the focused time, the consistent practice, they become part of your identity. You don't have to push yourself as hard to get going because you've already built the habit. What was once a struggle becomes second nature. Discipline also strengthens your faith. There are times when you won't feel spiritually strong. You might feel dry, discouraged, or distant. But if you stay faithful to your spiritual disciplines, reading, praying, worshiping, you create space for God to meet you there. Faith isn't about feeling something all the time. It's about choosing to stay close, even in the silence. Discipline says, I'll keep showing up, I'll keep trusting, I'll keep believing. And in time, that faithfulness bears fruit. Your future depends on the choices you make daily. Talent might open a door, but discipline is what keeps it open. Emotion might push you to start, but discipline is what helps you finish. Discipline turns potential into progress. It's not about being perfect, it's about being persistent. You won't always get it right, but if you keep going, if you keep choosing the right thing, even when it's hard, you will see change. You will see growth. The path to your destiny is not paved with ease, but with effort. It's not the glamorous or dramatic steps that make the biggest difference. It's the quiet, repeated ones. Choosing to pray when no one sees. Choosing to work when no one cheers. Choosing to stay focused when distractions are everywhere. These moments of discipline may not be exciting, but they are sacred. They are the foundation upon which purpose is built. When you embrace discipline, you align your actions with your calling, and in doing so, you unlock the life you were created to live. Progress in life rarely happens in loud, dramatic moments. It usually happens quietly, behind the scenes, in the private spaces where no one is watching. This is where discipline is tested, habits are formed, and character is refined. We live in a world that celebrates big wins, promotions, achievements, breakthroughs, but overlooks the quiet routines and daily decisions that lead to them. People often assume transformation is sudden, something that happens in an instant, but real growth is slow, steady, and built in silence. The most powerful changes occur not in the spotlight, but in the secret place. When you commit to showing up daily, even when you don't feel like it, you're making a statement. You're saying your future is worth the effort. You're saying your purpose matters more than your current feeling. It's in those moments when you choose to pray instead of scroll, read instead of complain, focus instead of procrastinate, that real progress is being made. You may not feel anything changing right away. There may be no applause, no immediate reward, but something powerful is happening under the surface. Growth is often invisible before it becomes undeniable. Just like a seed planted in the soil, nothing seems to happen at first. But deep in the dark, roots are growing. That seed is preparing to break through. The same is true in your life. The time you spend showing up, the effort you invest in becoming better, the small acts of obedience you repeat, those things are setting the foundation for breakthrough. You don't have to see instant results for your work to matter. The transformation is happening, even if it's quiet. The quiet moments test your commitment. Anyone can be faithful when it's easy or exciting, but being faithful when it's lonely, boring, or hard, that's where you're truly refined. That's where your future is shaped. It's easy to give your best when the crowd is cheering. It's much harder when no one notices, when you don't get recognition, when you have to encourage yourself. But it's in that place that strength is built. Each time you choose to keep going in silence, you're forming habits that will sustain you in seasons of what's happening in the background is more important than what happens in the foreground. The preparation you put in behind closed doors gives you the strength to stand when doors finally open. A singer doesn't learn to perform on the stage. They train in private again and again when no one's listening. An athlete doesn't become great in the stadium. They practice for hours when no one's watching. The same is true in every area of life. The quiet moments matter most. They prepare you for the seasons when everything becomes visible. It's tempting to want results right away. In a culture of instant gratification, we expect change to be quick and obvious. But lasting transformation doesn't happen that way. It requires patience and faith. Faith that what you're doing now will bear fruit later. Faith that the unseen work is not wasted. Faith that God is working even when you can't see it. When you stay faithful in the silence, you are building something strong and deep. You're not just chasing results, you're becoming a person of substance. God often does his best work in the quiet. Think about some of the greatest moments in Scripture. They were preceded by long seasons of preparation. Moses spent years in the wilderness before leading his people. David was tending sheep long before he became king. Jesus himself spent time in solitude, fasting and praying before stepping into public ministry. If the Son of God needed time in the quiet, how much more do we? The silent seasons are sacred. They're not punishment, they're preparation. It's in the quiet that you learn to trust the process. You learn to depend not on outcomes, but on obedience. You begin to see progress not as a sudden leap, but as a daily walk. Each step may seem small, but taken consistently, those steps create a path toward your purpose. Over time, what was once invisible becomes visible. What was once private becomes public. And when that moment comes, it won't be by accident. It will be the result of everything you did when no one was watching. So don't despise the quiet. Don't underestimate the power of your unseen effort. What you do when no one is watching is shaping everything about who you are becoming. Progress may be silent now, but one day it will speak loud, and when it does, you'll know it wasn't a sudden miracle. It was the reward of daily faithfulness, of showing up, pressing on, and trusting that the quiet work always matters.